It's a typical summer day on the fjords of Alaska's Kenai Peninsula. Hundreds of curious tourists have come to this remote wilderness to watch one of nature's most incredible spectacles, the drama of ice meeting the sea. This is the story of this remarkable place, Alaska's Kenai Fjords. The Kenai Fjords and the national park of the same name lie on the southeastern coast of Alaska's Kenai Peninsula. The park, established in 1980, encompasses 700,000 acres of mountains, glaciers, forests, and rocky coastline. The story of the Kenai Fjord starts here, high in the Kenai Mountains. As winter storms move inland from the Gulf of Alaska, these lofty peaks trap the moisture which falls as snow. During an average winter, up to 400 inches of snow falls in the mountains near Seward. The snow fills the mountain valleys and has created what today we call the Harding Ice Field. This is a 600 square mile lake of snow and ice. In some places it may be a mile deep. Under the enormous weight of years of snowfall, the snow crystallizes into glacier ice. Like a lake which supplies water for streams and rivers, the Harding Ice Field supplies the ice which flows into all glaciers of Kenai Fjords National Park. These rivers of ice march down the valleys, carving the bedrock, falling over steep terrain, stretching their way downhill toward the sea. This is Bear Glacier, the longest glacier in Kenai Fjords National Park. It flows nearly 15 miles. Over the course of their journey, glaciers pick up rock and debris, scraped from the mountain sides and carried like a giant conveyor belt in the current of the glacier. In this case, the dark ribbon of rock is called a medial moraine. Bear Glacier dumps its rock and debris in a lake created by its meltwater less than a mile from the sea. Only a few hundred years ago, this glacier and most other Harding Icefield glaciers extended far into the Gulf of Alaska. As they've receded, the finger-like coastal valleys left behind formed what today are the Kenai Fjords. Alaska's limited road system does not traverse the mountainous terrain of Kenai Fjords National Park. The only part of the park accessible on the road system is Exit Glacier. Exit Glacier is a valley glacier. This tongue of ice extends 2.5 miles from the Harding ice field. It once stretched 12 miles to Resurrection Bay. A trail system leads to near the face of the glacier, allowing an up-close look at this frozen giant. Here, Ranger Rick Geese of the National Park Service leads a group of students on a field trip to the nearby glacier.
Maybe up to 200 feet. But on average, we have 100 feet of snow falling on this ice field each year. That snow will compress down to about 10 feet of ice.
This marker illustrates the rapid pace of Exit Glacier's recession.
This is a type of solid material that's being bent by gravity as it comes down the hill, and it forms cracks. So anytime where you have differences in elevations, you'll get crevasses. So along where your glaciers are, you'll get these crackings in it. But if you were on top of the ice field where it's flat, you wouldn't find the crevasses. Each year on average, I was saying it recedes maybe 40 feet, but that's an average. In reality, it stays one place for a period of time. Then some event might happen and it might retreat 100, 200 feet. And one section might go forward, one section might go back. It's always changing.
The deep blue color of glacier ice is entrancing. The ice is so dense that when sunlight penetrates the glacier, only the blue wavelengths of light escape. Exposed to the rain, sun, and wind, cracks and fissures appear, and the ice appears white. The grinding of Exit Glacier against bedrock reduces boulders to small powder called silt. The silt colors the runoff gray, a sure sign of a stream or river fed from a melting glacier. Today, Exit Glacier is still in recession, moving back several dozen feet each year. As it retreats, you can watch the very beginnings of a new forest. This is dwarf fireweed, one of the first plants to recolonize the land after a glacier retreats. From the first colorful fireweed to a healthy spruce forest is an ecological process that takes just 200 years. The high rainfall along the coast provides ideal conditions for the Sitka spruce and western hemlock. The dense canopy lets very little sun pass through to the moist forest floor. In places touched by direct sunlight, the red elderberry thrives. It's a common food for birds such as this Steller's jay. A 200-year-old spruce forest is an ideal home for red squirrels. The seeds from spruce cones are harvested all summer and stored for the winter. Streams flowing through these woods are used by spawning salmon. These chum salmon are making their way up Tonsina Creek. The salmon lay their eggs in the gravel of the stream bed, where the eggs will remain protected during the winter. In the spring, the young fry will emerge, moving down the creek to begin their ocean journey. Fresh water from the creeks and streams mixes into the intertidal waters of Resurrection Bay and the Kenai Fjords. This is a remarkably rich ecosystem. Hundreds of plants and animals make their home within the intertidal zone. Kelp and starfish, jellyfish and mussels, barnacles and limpets, algae and plankton. All this abundance within a few feet of land's edge. For birds and marine mammals, this is nature's restaurant. Black oyster catchers forage on the rocky shoreline. Harbor seals rest in the safety of the kelp and mussel beds, waiting for lunch to swim by. Out in the waters of Resurrection Bay, a salmon shark is on the lookout for migrating salmon. At the head of Resurrection Bay lies the city of Seward. Seward is known as the gateway to Kenai Fjords National Park. Seward is a popular tourist destination, only 130 miles by road or a scenic 4-hour train ride from Anchorage, Alaska's largest city. For centuries, the area has been an important transportation link. First, for native traders who travel the coastline by kayak. Later, as a safe harbor for European explorers. As the 20th century began, the ice-free port of Resurrection Bay was chosen as the ocean terminus of a railroad supplying Alaska's gold fields, hundreds of miles to the north. During World War II, Seward was vital to Alaska's defenses. Several abandoned military installations can be seen in the forests and mountaintops around Resurrection Bay. A visitor to Seward in any other time than summer might characterize this small coastal hamlet as friendly, sleepy, and often wet. It rains a lot. And if you happen to show up during the winter polar bear jump, you know the locals are a hardy breed indeed. This event is actually a popular charity fundraiser, and each winter more than a few brave souls take the plunge into the 37-degree waters of Resurrection Bay. The friendly nature of Seward doesn't change with the seasons, but the pace of life here quickens as the days get longer and summer approaches. Around the 1st of May, it's the beginning of the tourist season. and Seward, with a permanent population of 3,000, finds itself bulging at the seams with all its summer guests. The harbor is the center of activity for locals and visitors alike. The abundant life in these waters beckons fishermen from around the world. Every August, anglers compete for cash prizes during the Seward Silver Salmon Derby.
Okay, now how much?
While excellent fishing for salmon and halibut brings thousands of fishermen to Seward every summer, fishing isn't the only activity that attracts crowds to the small boat harbor.
You can go right on. Good morning.
For most visitors, the dock is the starting point for a cruise of Resurrection Bay and the Kenai Fjords. Seward is home port for hundreds of commercial fishermen, charter companies, and a favorite recreation area. Leaving the harbor, the boats pass Seward's coal loading facility. The coal is transported by rail from interior Alaska. From here, it will be barged to Asian markets. Seward is also a port of call for many cruise ships. Boat tours follow several routes, but a typical day-long tour travels through Resurrection Bay to the Gulf of Alaska, around Ialik Cape, then on to Holgate Arm and Holgate Glacier. The return route often takes visitors around the Chiswell Islands and back again to Seward on Resurrection Bay. As this tour boat plies the waters, it's joined by a black and white escort of Dahl's porpoise. They appear as if out of nowhere, joining the boat in playful pursuit. Porpoise will often dart back and forth in the bow wake of any passing boat, or swim alongside, sometimes in groups of 20 or more. These intelligent and playful porpoise are the fastest mammals in the sea. They've been clocked at over 25 miles per hour. When they've had their fun, they vanish. Porpoise are the smaller cousins of orcas, also called killer whales. Orcas have the same black and white features as the Dahl's porpoise. A large male will grow up to 30 feet and weigh as much as 6 tons. Two communities of orcas spend time in the waters of the Kenai Fjords. Researchers classify them as residents or transients. The transients cover large distances hunting marine mammals, harbor seals, Dahl's porpoise, and sea lions. Resident orcas are fish eaters. Migrating salmon are preferred over marine mammals. Wildlife watchers consider themselves lucky to encounter orcas on a tour of Kenai Fjords. Twice blessed if they see humpback whales. The spout of the humpback whale announces its presence. They appear on the surface, sending their breath billowing upwards. Then, perhaps a few breaths later, the whale will arch its back and disappear gracefully beneath the surface. When a humpback displays its massive tail fluke, it usually means it intends to stay under a while, up to 10 or 15 minutes. This humpback is slapping its fin against the surface. The sound resonates underwater for miles. Researchers believe this is one way humpback whales communicate their presence. The humpback whales are seasonal residents, arriving each summer after spending the winter in the tropical waters of Hawaii or Mexico. They come to Alaska to feast on the bounty of these waters. But these 35-ton mammals eat surprisingly tiny food: small shrimp, fish, and microscopic plankton.
We said this was for catching zooplankton. There are two things that make this a zooplankton.
These junior high school students are on a field trip to study the rich marine ecosystem. As an experiment, they'll try to capture plankton using a special type of net. After a few minutes of dragging the net, it is reeled in.
There it comes. Hope you guys are good fishermen. Yeah, can you guys see all the stuff that's built up on the side of the net here? kind of an orangish sludge that gets built up on the edge of the net. Yeah, it's a little smelly. It smells like whale breath. Yeah. Nice sample, you guys.
The plankton they're observing under the microscopes are an important part of the food chain. These blue bay mussels, for example, feed on phytoplankton strained out of the salt water. The mussels are food for a variety of animals, including the sea otter. This clever otter uses the rising waves to reach the mussel bed and a tasty lunch. Weighing up to 70 pounds, the sea otter is a voracious eater of mussels and clams, squid and octopus. An adult otter can consume as much as 1/3 of its body weight in food each day. This otter is eating an octopus it has brought up from the ocean floor 50 feet below. Sea otters are year-round residents of these waters. Unlike larger marine mammals, sea otters do not possess a thick layer of insulating fat. Instead, they rely on their densely layered fur to keep warm in these frigid waters. The fur of a sea otter is the densest fur of any mammal, with as many as 700,000 hairs per square inch. You'll often see an otter rolling at the surface and grooming its fine hairs. Frequent cleaning is essential for the otters to maintain buoyancy, waterproofing, and insulation. Russian fur traders in the mid-1700s considered luxurious sea otter pelts so valuable they called them soft gold. During the next 150 years, it is estimated that 1 million otters were killed, decimating the sea otter population. International treaties and federal law now protects the sea otters. Today, sea otters are no longer endangered. 90% of the world's population lives in Alaska. Avid birdwatchers flock to the Kenai Fjords in the hopes of seeing a bird species or bird behavior they might not see anywhere else. Nearly 200 bird species have been recorded in the Kenai Fjords area alone. The dense forest, rocky coastline, and remote islands provide the perfect habitat for nesting and rearing their young. This large gathering of gulls and cormorants indicates a bait ball lying just beneath the surface. Herring and other small fish sometimes gather in a tight ball for protection, attracting large flocks of hungry seabirds. Fish may be schooled into these bait balls by diving birds, larger schools of fish, and even hungry whales. Mature bald eagles with their white head and tail feathers are among the easiest birds to spot and identify. They often perch near salt water, usually on a spruce tree or a rocky outcropping. Bald eagles are year-round residents of the Kenai Fjords. With wings spanning 6 feet, they are impressive to watch, gliding on thermal currents in what seems to be effortless flight. Around 90 eagle nests lie within the boundaries of Kenai Fjords National Park. They generally build their nests in large trees within a couple of 100 yards of the shore. An eagle's nest is used year after year. After a few years, the structure becomes quite impressive. Eagle nests have been measured at 8 feet wide and 7 feet deep. Immature bald eagles retain their dusky feathers for as long as 4 years. Gradually, these younger birds will develop the superior survival skills of their elders and will assume the snowy head and tail feathers as well. The shoreline and islands bordering Kenai Fjords National Park are primarily rocky, with steep cliffs rising from the sea. This rugged and remote terrain offers nesting habitat for up to 100,000 seabirds. At the Chiswell Islands, tourboat passengers are often treated to an up-close look. The sheer rock walls of this cave allow the captain to nudge his boat close enough to smell the nests and listen to the echoing calls. The sky above is a beehive of activity. It's amazing to watch as thousands of tufted and horned puffins circle above the breeding area, like airplanes over a busy airport. Thousands of kittiwakes, puffins, murres, and other pelagic birds make their nests on these rocky enclaves, which are appropriately named Beehive 1 and Beehive 2. This rocky cove is used by a variety of seabirds, each seeking a suitable nesting place. Glaucous-winged gulls are among the largest gulls found here. They prefer nesting along rocky beaches and on gentle slopes. In contrast, the smaller black-legged kittiwakes nest along the narrow ledges of steep cliffs. Their voices resonate from their rocky perches, mixing with the sounds of the waves below. By midsummer, the downy youngsters have hatched, bringing new life to this kittiwake colony. Both common and thick-billed murres can be found nesting in the Kenai Fjords. Their penguin-like markings make them easy to spot. Thick-billed murres prefer to nest in single lines. Common murres prefer to stay in dense groups, like socialites mingling at an elegant seaside party. Around mid-May, several types of cormorants return from wintering at sea to nest among the murres and kittiwakes. From a distance, the pelagic cormorant appears jet black, but on closer inspection you can see their distinctive violet and green plumage. This peculiar head and neck movement is a recognition display used to communicate between cormorants. The red-faced cormorant is slightly larger than the pelagic and is easily distinguished from its darker cousin. When pelagic and red-faced cormorant share the same cliff, the red-face typically nests on the higher, more accessible ledges. While cormorants dive underwater to feed, the oyster catcher sticks close to the tide line. Oyster catchers will use their colorful red beak to chisel open mussels and other tasty shellfish. The piercing call of the oyster catcher can be heard from great distances, a necessity in such a noisy environment. The colorful tufted puffin is among the most abundant of Alaska's seabirds. It's a crowd favorite with its bright beak and tufts of blonde hair. Horn puffins share the parrot-like appearance, with a red and yellow bill, a white chest, and pointed horn-like markings above each eye. During the winter, the puffins will lose their brightly colored beak plates and take on a more drab appearance. Like murres and cormorants, puffins are diving birds. They swim underwater, feeding on small fish, using their wings for propulsion. With a full stomach, just getting airborne can be quite a task. While their wings are an advantage for swimming, they're just barely adequate for flight. Puffins must beat their wings up to 400 times a minute to stay aloft. Puffins spend most of the year on the open ocean. It's only during the summer breeding season that they return to dry land, nesting in cliffside burrows. These remote islands also provide sanctuary for a noisy community of stellar sea lions. The sea lions haul out on the flat rock, spending the long summer days resting, socializing, playing, and raising their young. At night, they'll slip away to feed on cod, pollock, and other ground fish. These two mature bulls are jockeying for position and superiority. Contests like this are part of the male sea lion's daily life and show off their surprising quickness on land. Young sea lion pups are a favorite sight, sliding on the rocks and playing in the waves. Recently, scientists have noted an alarming drop in the stellar sea lion population. It may be a natural cycle, or perhaps it's due to commercial overfishing of the fish stocks on which they feed. One of the most photogenic spots along the coastline is this unusual rock formation at Three Hole Bay. It's a perfect picture frame for the stunning mountains which line Holgate Arm. The forested shoreline indicates that it's been at least 200 years since a glacier retreated from this area. But the ice in the water is a sign that the glacier is near. Captain Dan McDonald of Kenai Fjords Tours brings visitors to this area over 100 times each summer.
Holgate Glacier at one time extended all the way out to the head of the bay. They think as early as 200 years ago the glacier was out there, about 5 miles from its present position. We're just going to bump our way up in through the ice pack here. We'll be turning broadside. We'll shut the engines off for a little bit and watch the glacier. Hopefully we'll see some calving.
Depending on the time of year and activity on the glacier, these waters can be choked with icebergs. But today the captain has a relatively easy time navigating to the face of Holgate Glacier.
The face of the glacier there, about 1/4 of a mile wide. It's about 300 feet high at the face. You never know what's going to happen. Usually you see some small chunks falling out, and it's hopefully followed by some larger ones.
Most of the glaciers here in this area moving down. Oh, there we go, right side. Hear that calving? Hold it. There we go. Right off the bat. Oh boy, here we go.
The stunning northwestern lagoon is flanked by mountains rising more than 3,000 feet from the sea. This is a less often visited area of the Kenai Fjords. It is remote, raw, and wild. The Northwestern Glacier is another active tidewater glacier extending from the Harding ice field. As it recedes, it litters the bay with icebergs. They are composed of ice crystals that may have fallen as snow 50 years ago, or at the time of the American Revolution. The retreat of Northwestern Glacier has been so rapid that this boat may be the first ever to sail so far into this part of the Kenai Fjords. Exposed rock recently uncovered by the glacier bears the scars of glacial advance and retreat. It is doubtful that humans ever inhabited this part of Kenai Fjords National Park. It is a primordial wilderness. Isolation suits many animals inhabiting the Kenai Fjords. Few land animals, however, can navigate their way over the rugged terrain. That's not the case with mountain goats. With powerful legs and small hooves, these goats can climb extremely narrow ledges. They easily negotiate their way along the 50-degree slopes of Kenai Fjords National Park. The most recent census counted 800 mountain goats living within the park. Tucked away in remote glacier valleys, they graze on alpine grasses and lichens. This valley overlooks Bear Glacier to the west and provides the solitude the mountain goats prefer. During the day, the goats traverse the steep cliffs, feeding slowly and keeping watch for intruders. In a display of group survival behavior, this young billy moves toward a potential predator, while other members of the group head for higher ground. Male goats weigh up to 300 pounds and have a shoulder height of nearly 4 feet. Their thick fur allows them to withstand icy winds. Their sharp horns and strong necks make them a fearsome adversary, especially when balanced on a steep cliff. A check of the area assures this goat that there is no threat. He heads off to rejoin the others. With rare exceptions, the high mountain slopes belong to the mountain goats and the clouds. This remarkable place, the Kenai Fjords, is truly a land of wonder, an ever-changing wilderness of mountains, glaciers, and fjords.